And we'll just do a little audio test here. Well, can you hear me in the back? No? No? Okay, we need to turn this up. Who can do that? We have a technician working on that right now. And for the candidates, just a little heads up. If you turn your head and talk like this, you lose it. Eh? So make sure you keep your head straight ahead. Oh, that makes a big difference, eh? Okay. Everybody notice how close my mouth is to this speaker, the candidates. So yeah, you're going to need that kind of volume. So you can hear me in the back, can you? Super. Okay. Well, my name's Bob Gourlay. My only qualification for chairing tonight's meeting is the fact that I don't live here, and I don't own any property, and I don't have anything to lose. So I am the local bylaw officer, so I know some of you recognize me. I certainly recognize you. Okay, so what we'll do, the way we're going to proceed tonight, the purpose of the meeting, the session tonight is to get familiar with the candidates, and to do that, I think to start with, I've introduced myself. I'd like to take a minute and introduce them so that you can attach a face to a name. I'm just going to have to go get the list though. So I'm just reading these off the list here. Poppy Peterson, could you wave and stand up and wave? Cheryl Hansen, Cheryl's right here. Yeah. Sandra Hessdorfer, and you can clap too. I mean, let's encourage these people. Come on, let's break the ice here. Larry Roberts, Larry. Rebecca Warbeck, Gary Meyer, Douglas Gunther, Scott Murray, and Vicki Clark. Okay, so just to give you a little background, we'll talk about the process tonight. We've asked each of the candidates, we've drawn lots here, so we have an order. We drew it out of a hat, the order, so it's quite random. Well, totally random, actually. And we're asking each candidate to take no more than 10 minutes. I will kind of awkwardly shut you down if you go too long. And so we'll go 10 minutes. So by my reckoning, 9 times 10, that should take us sometime around 8 o'clock. We should be finished. My guess is some won't be that long, and some will be that long. So, but we shouldn't be passing 8 o'clock anyway. And then what we'll do, I'm just going to ask you to hold all of your questions until the end, and so that makes it fair to everyone. And then at the end, we have a 4 mic up here, so you can, as we get to that last speaker, you can line up and ask your questions. And we'll have a little more instructional information before we do that particular step. So anyway, without any further ado, you're not here to hear me, you're here to hear the candidates. So we're going to start with number 1 on the draw is Vicki Clark. Please welcome her.
Definitely shorter. Okay. Great that I drew first so I can thank everybody for coming. What a nice turnout. So we, as the candidates, really appreciate that you guys have been able to take the time and come and be engaged. So thank you very much. For generations, the lake has been a source of solace and rejuvenation. Its healing waters is a natural treasure that has drawn countless souls seeking respite and renewal. In collaboration with local businesses and citizens, a new council should be trying to devise a plan that not only celebrates the natural beauty and restorative qualities of Manitou Beach, but also ensures a warm welcome to those who seek the unique charm of our lake, the residents and visitors alike. We live in the resort village of Manitou Beach on the beautiful shores of Little Manitou Lake, one of only 3 of its kind in the world. We are so lucky. This is a unique place. People come here to heal and experience the lifestyle, which is highlighted by performing artists, and that's really something that people talk about all the time. Number 1, we are a resort village, and that is what attracted us all to live here. A new council should be dedicated to sustainable development. Without development, small towns and villages die. We have seen this in our surrounding areas. Just look at some that have. Plunkett, Young. Without development, things cease to exist. I believe that we should focus on revitalization of the beachfront, business development, community engagement, and civic pride through community consultation and community events, and tourism, which has been here for centuries. I am running due to some concerns that I have. The increased mill rates due to a lack of development in businesses here at the beach. Lack of public consultation when passing bylaws. Tendering processes that occurred with the drive-in and beach washrooms. The rejection of tourism at the beach. This has been voiced by the mayor and the CEO of both the local paper and the village newsletter. In addition, the action of the council and staff in closing off part of the beach last year and the maintenance of parks and trails. They are a huge asset to us, and we need to take care of them and preserve them. The actions that I would like to see a council take on in the next 4 years: create a business development policy, develop a beachfront revitalization committee, council meetings at night that are available on Zoom, replacement of garbage bins within Wellington Park, a financially viable drive-in, public access to the tree dump, and generating a policy on community development engagement and pursuing grants. There's a Sask Culture Community Development Plan grant available right now, just to name one. With a master's degree in tourism management from Royal Roads University, I believe I bring a fresh perspective to our resort village. I was an instructor and program head at Saskatchewan Polytech for 18 years. I have owned and operated tourism businesses for over 30 years and have worked in the nonprofit sector for over 40 years. With my experience, I understand policies and bylaws and how they are affected by the public sector, the private sector, and nonprofits. Thank you very much.
Okay, the next speaker is Poppy Peterson.
Welcome, and thank you candidates. Thank you, Bob, for being our moderator, and a special thank you to residents who have taken the time to show their interest in our community and our community's future. I've been asked numerous times why I've decided to run for council again as your mayor, and my girls think I'm crazy for doing this again. But first off, let me tell you the 3 reasons why I'm not. First, it's not because we've had a bunch of unfinished work, because the projects will go on and work will continue. Secondly, it's not because I'm the only person that can do the job. There's always somebody to step in. Third, it's not some kind of power trip. This is and always should be a very humbling position. The reason I'm asking you to cast your ballot for me in this particular election is because I can offer some continuity and stability to this position. I've spent the last 4 years making connections with neighboring communities, mayoral peers, tourism counterparts in other resort communities, federal and provincially elected officials. I've proven my honesty time and time again, giving residents the truth when sometimes they'd rather have the favorable answer. I've held your confidences. That's not saying I didn't want to blurt out the truth as I know it, but I've kept your confidences. I've chosen not to reply to angry texts with the same anger, but because I do feel that behavior is inappropriate to somebody that's in a leading position in our community. I will not, or will I ever, stoop to the passive-aggressive ploys of social media. If you've got something to say to council, you need to come to council. That's the process, that's the municipal plan, and that's the way that things run. And that's how we keep our community viable and have it work. The low blows that your community, current council and administration is constantly receiving reflects in our community as a whole. The statement, "make sure your own ducks are in a row," is irrelevant here. Please help keep this problem intact. How about we work at it instead of adding to it? I said, and have said very recently, that if a criminal record check is the only problem that we have at Manitou Beach, we really don't have many problems. It's when residents close their mind to change and refuse to accept the realities of changing society that there is pushback. I've had yet to have somebody explain to me why a criminal record check would have a negative effect on our community. The proof is in the positive reactions we get from volunteers that step up, the new volunteers that get their checks so they can help. It proves that we have a progressive community. The volunteers want to protect our citizens and show the tourists that we care. It's the difference between a few individuals and a positive community asset. Council must work for the best of the overall community. I've pretty much fulfilled my 2024 campaign promises. We have a stormwater, groundwater plan in place. We need to do it slowly, as money is always a factor. We've created a budgeting system that reflects the wants and needs of the village. We fixed the electrical at the village hall. It had been neglected since the village hall was actually the village office. We've abandoned the cook shack because it didn't have the proper health stamps. We've revisited the water treatment plant and created efficiencies that'll hold us well for the next 10 years. We have actively repaired old buildings and fixtures that were neglected for many years. We've implemented cost-saving efficiencies to try and stretch our tax dollars to better serve our community. We've created a new official community plan, or an OCP as you've probably heard it called, that addresses our specific community rather than a genetic one that blankets all resort villages. Your resort village is about a lot more than criminal record checks or the number of garbage cans that's in the park. It is and should always be about community and people working together. Our present administration and council has worked through some very unprecedented times. I'll jump on a soapbox anytime to proclaim that these people have done their very best at the time they did it with the most accurate information they had at the time. Can you ask anything more from people? Of course not. The current council often hears new ideas, plans, views of the residents of Manitou Beach. As I always say, the door is always open. Good ideas are always welcome. Not everything you ask for can be accomplished. Sometimes the ideas won't benefit the community at all or as a whole. Sometimes your wishes set a precedent that we can't adhere to. Sometimes financially it just won't work. And sometimes your ideas don't fit the current vision of our community. But if your council never hears them, they can't react to them. Council will always hear your ideas. As we've heard before, what's your vision statement? What's your plan? Well, your current council could have spent unavailable money, time, and energy to create a document that spelled this out. We chose not to, as fundamentally we had basic business to attend to. We needed to be financially accountable, we needed a team of staff that could get the job done, and we needed infrastructure that could sustain us through the upcoming years until we were more financially solid. Your village needed to get a handle on its finances. I'm confident that the village now can move in that direction. I'm also confident that everyone that's coming to this table, lending their name to stand for municipal council, is sincere in their wish to keep our community a great place and to help it improve. I'm also confident that the electorate is an intelligent group that sees the progress council and administration has made, realizing the challenges that a global pandemic, conspiracy players, miffed previous employees, and the false agenda a one-sided social media platform can create. I'm very proud of the present council and village staff. Council creates policy, and staff finds a way to make that policy a reality. We've heard, no one on council came to talk to me about that. Well, I don't think that's the case. The days of saying sorry instead of asking for permission are over. The time spent chasing down sneaky people is outrageous. The village bylaws create fairness. It doesn't matter if you've lived here 50 years or 6 months, the rules are same for everyone. If you feel there's a better plan, then you need to speak to your council. The election, you elected them for that reason. So what is so difficult? Your new council will need to work with them within the municipal bylaws and guidelines. And if I'm elected as your mayor, it will be my job to guide the new council within those rules. If you elect me for mayor on July 27th, I will continue to represent you the best way I know how. I will, as I always have, speak to the wonderful people at Manitou Beach, the wonderful services we have, and the friendly manner in which we treat our tourists. I will continue to address our financial problems, look for ways to get the necessary job done. My final thought is to give common sense a chance. There's no positive changes without controversy, and positive discussion will give us progress. The last 4 years have seen major progress. The beach was not created in a day, and we are going through some major financial struggles. Help be a part of the solution. Keep a smile on your face, say hello to your neighbors, be ambassadors to tourists. Let's work together to allow our eclectic community to be a welcoming, progressive, and prosperous community. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, you're the next speaker.
Thank you, Bob. My name is Doug Gunther. I have lived here at Manitou Beach since 1998, so 25, 26 years. And the moment I arrived, I loved this town. I still do. And I also had the pleasure 4 years ago and up till 8 years ago to be on council. And I had the pleasure of working with Jerry Warbeck, who was the mayor, with Chris Moffat, Larry Zemlak, Lori Bisdell, and I guess the reason, I'd like to bring some experience that I've sat on council, and I think that's important. One of the major things that I'm concerned about, and that what I learned when I was on council, was fiscal responsibility. To learn what does it cost to operate your community. And I think often, I certainly was surprised to find out the expenses, the important things of our infrastructure and how it operates and what it costs to do it. But there's something else that our mayor just said that I simply have to flatly disagree with. From the very beginning, that this group of people colluded to get rid of staff that 5 past councillors and mayor felt were doing a wonderful job. Never once in 4 years did I ever one time on our council hear a bad word about our past CAO. I'm not saying you had to like her. This isn't a popularity contest. But there was undoubtedly a group of people that colluded to get rid of that. That cost us a minimum of $80,000, perhaps 100, I don't know. We'll find out if some of us can go over top or go back and look at some of these things. This was not a group of people that came in and were welcomed in to a well-functioning community that had a healthy staff. The result of that, we lost our maintenance man, we lost our water treatment gal, because they didn't want to be a part of a group of people that treat staff like this. I think it's deplorable. And sadly, I think there's a lot of other things that I think will come up, but I'll get off that. I want to represent this community because I love it. I have some experience doing it, and I want to do it again for 4 more years. So I hope you vote for me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Douglas. Our next speaker is Cheryl Hansen. She's running for mayor.
When public speaking, one of the ways to capture your audience is to recite a famous quote. So I, of course, went to Google. Hey, Google, give me a famous quote. He came back with, "Do one thing every day that scares you." I thought, well, that's perfect. Good evening, my name is Cheryl Hansen, and I am running for the position of mayor at the resort village of Manitou Beach. Did you know that according to point2homes.com, there are 365 residents at Manitou Beach with an average age of 56.7 years, ever so slightly younger than myself. Keeping that in mind, I stand for progression and communication. Definition of progression gets better and more advanced. Definition of regressive, less developed, or returns to an older state. We have a very small window of opportunity for approximately 3 to 4 months every summer, depending on the weather, to make hay while the sun shines. We have one of the most beautiful regional parks in the province, and people come here to spend their precious holiday time and their money at our beautiful resort. Let's welcome them. Let's reopen the beach bathrooms, which I found out were done today. Thank you for doing that. Let's take the plywood off the showers and use the facility. And let's provide more garbages at Wellington. Yeah, you're right, it's about the garbages at Wellington. Let's make people feel welcome. Let's figure out a way to make the drive-in financially viable. Let's really take a look at any business opportunity and weigh them out to see what is best for the residents, like the Oasis. Our beach is open for business. The second thing I want to talk about is communication. With the average age of 56.7, most of us are still working during the day when the meetings are held. I would like to see council provide meetings after hours, and perhaps 2 meetings a month like it used to be, and then maybe a recap for residents, and accessible to the internet via Zoom or Teams so that other people can listen or watch. Communication is 2 parties exchanging information. I have found in my communication with the village office that there is just no reply. If for some reason we are not allowed to have some of the information that residents ask for, then just tell us. I'm sorry, we can't answer that. No reply is a response, and highly unprofessional. Residents at Manitou Beach want to know what the vision is of the council. My vision is to create a thriving, sustainable community for residents and visitors. We are looking forward to revitalization of the beachfront, new development, community engagement, and civic pride, as well as tourism, which you will hear from the other 4 people that are running with me, 3 people. Who am I? My qualifications? Well, my qualifications include insurance adjuster for 30 years, specializing in liability. I've been provincial manager for 2 global companies, and my responsibilities include hiring, terminating, as well as training staff. I am a leader and always have worked with a team. I'm on the National Canadian Independent Adjusters Association, serving as a membership coordinator. I formed successfully the Saskatchewan Insurance Professionals Association in 2020 under the Canadian Association of Insurance Women. I am the recipient winning first place at the CAIW National Speaking Contest in 2021, so I do like to speak. I am the past president of the Saskatchewan Adjusters Association for 10 years, and the past chairperson for the provincial all insurance industry social, hosting approximately 200 colleagues. I am a mother of 3 sons, grandmother of 8 children, and I am a rockin' robin. If you're happy with the way things have been running at the beach for the past 4 years and don't feel any changes are necessary, then absolutely I'm not the person you're looking for. But if you're looking for progression, better communication and transparency, then Hanson for mayor. Thank you.
Next speaker is Rebecca Warbeck, and she's running for council. Did I get the number wrong?
That's all right. Thanks, Bob. Good evening. As a lot of you know, my name is Rebecca Warbeck, and I am pleased to be here tonight to introduce myself as a candidate running for council. Although I may be the youngest candidate, I believe I am the longest standing resident of Manitou Beach amongst my fellow nominees. I grew up on a farm just south of town, and I moved to Manitou as a young teen in 1998, 1999, after my family bought the Bird Boy. I have worn many different hats in our community over the last 26 years. Many of you have gotten to know me as burger flipper, a salt-covered beach kid, a waitress, a watercraft operator, a barista, a realtor, a mortgage specialist, a rec board volunteer, a gardener, or maybe just a neighbor or a friend. I am also a proud homeowner here. I live with my spouse Jamo and our 2 dogs on Jean Street. We purchased our home in November 2014. A dream come true for both of us shortly after Jamo's Canadian residency was approved. He traveled here as a young adult in his early 20s from Australia and fell in love with the laid-back beach vibe and beauty of our little village. And the 2 of us have worked hard to make Manitou Beach our home. Lately, it seems like we've had to work even harder, and I know we are amongst the many that have seen a large increase to the cost of living here. Although I am well aware that it is not specific to just Manitou Beach, as economic hardships are being felt around Canada due to rising interest rates, inflation, and taxes, we have really felt the increase in cost here, and there has been a decrease in our public services here. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and point fingers at previous members of council, and I'm not going to make promises that I know little about and may not be able to keep. I have been witness to some great improvements within our community, And I've also had front row seats to the devastation that we all felt with the rise in the lake level. We are still feeling the strain of the water levels on our infrastructure systems, and we have limited resources with only a small number of rate taxpayers to maintain a village whose population increases by the thousands in peak tourist season. Our previous council members have been forced to make decisions reactively instead of proactively, and I'm really hoping that we can all change that moving forward. I am running for council because I truly love Manitou Beach. I have no personal agenda to pursue if I am elected. I'm not going to make empty, uneducated promises, and I will have a lot to learn as I am inexperienced in government. But what I lack in experience, I will make up for in enthusiasm, honesty, and hard work. I will approach all decisions with an open mind, compassion, and common sense thinking as I do with all aspects of my life. My only goal is to restore the balance of the quality of living here so that we as taxpayers feel that our hard work to maintain our residency in Manitou Beach is worth the cost. I appreciate you all coming tonight, and I want to personally thank my fellow candidates for their interest in running for council as well. I know they all have our best interests at heart, and I wish you all the best of luck in the upcoming election. I will leave you all with this simple quote that was shared with me recently from someone who is an active member in promoting both Waters and Manitou Beach, and it's really stuck with me. In municipal government, it's not about who is right, it's about what is right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Vicki. I think I got the numbers mucked up here. So anyway, we're going to get it corrected here. Scott.
Hello, Scott Murray. Good evening, Bob, fellow candidates, and nice to see all the citizens out tonight. That's awesome. I grew up 10 miles west of here, and I've spent many summers at the beach. I think the beach has much to offer and is a great place to live. My wife Sandy and I moved here 4 years ago and have been involved with Communities in Bloom. To me, tourism is very important to this community. I would support large and small business, make it affordable for the small home businesses to operate. As the water recedes, have a plan for the development and maintenance of the old and new beaches. I would like the council to be transparent, welcome questions and ideas from our citizens. Work towards having the dance land financially independent. And like we said before, put garbage pails back in Wellington Park. Have more signs and well-placed signs for the tourists. Communities in Bloom and Rec Board have some great ideas, and I'd like the council to support but not hinder their projects. We have some great candidates running for council, and I'm sure there's great things ahead for the beach in the future. The beach is open for business. Thank you.
Thanks. Next speaker is Sandra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight and learning about your candidates. My name is Sandra Hestorfer, and I am running for council. My family has owned a cabin in Manitou Beach for over a decade, where our boys, Corbin and Riley, have grown up alongside many villagers. And we hope that our grandkids will one day too. As a family, we deeply cherish Manitou Beach and all it has to offer. From the drive-in theater to mini golf, to the toonie dances, parks, spa, flea market, and larger-than-life local ice cream treats, there are so many unique people, places, and things that make Manitou so special. Sorry. These attractions draw people and contribute to our community's charm, alongside festivals, the arts scene, utilities like RO water and sewer systems, and our wonderful neighbors who feel like family. It's easy to understand our love for this place. However, there has been noticeable division among the community leading up to this election. As an independent candidate, I aim to bridge these divides. If elected, I will prioritize transparency and open communication over empty promises, fostering a strong community spirit. With my experience sitting on boards and having board governance training, I believe in responsible governance. I won't make commitments I can't keep, such as breaking contracts or making hasty personnel decisions without thorough consideration of their impact. Before proposing solutions that affect our community, businesses, and visitors, we must gather facts and assess what's best for everyone in the village by looking at evidence and listening to our community members. Manitou Beach is renowned for its beauty and focus on health and wellness. It attracts visitors globally and should be a welcoming, relaxing destination for residents and guests alike. Maintaining pristine beaches, well-kept grounds, and accessible amenities is crucial to fostering community pride and encouraging repeat visits to support our local businesses. My focus will be on fiscal responsibility, seeking funding through grants and other revenue sources, leveraging opportunities like SAS tenders and exploring eligibility for canoe procurement to maximize savings. I advocate for sustainable growth with robust infrastructure and reliable partnerships, easing financial burdens on taxpayers. Together, let's prioritize Manitou Beach future with transparency, sustainability, and community well-being at the forefront of our decisions. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sandra. Our next speaker is Larry Roberts, running for council.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank you all for coming out tonight and taking an interest in your community. And I'd like to thank all my candidates for coming out and presenting themselves to run for this election. I'd like to also thank the dedicated staff of the village and the previous council for their hard work over the past 4 years. Now, I don't come here to grant anything to anybody. I don't want to pave your streets with gold. I don't want to promise you anything. What I do want to promise is to work hard, if elected. I hope to work hard for you. I don't plan to promise anything that I can't deliver because I don't know what we can deliver as a community with the budget that we have. I would like to have our infrastructure be possibly saved, upgraded, improved upon. I know that if we have visitors that come here, they want to have a safe place to walk, to visit. Our community needs safe roads. Our community needs to be able to flush the toilet and have a nice shower, or to have anything that they rely on that they don't understand just doesn't happen without money. I know that you are the money that funds all of this. And I know that a lot of people are worried about taxes. I don't like paying a lot more in taxes, nor do any of you, I hope. But that's what keeps our community going. And with prudent financial discussion and looking at the future plans with a budget and asking other levels of government to fund our projects, if possible, we may get this community to be viable. We can ask businesses to come in. We can tax them fairly, and there's tax incentives that we can give them. But we can't sell the beach either. And we can't let the community sell the horse. Well, what are we going to ride in the coach? Who's going to pull a coach? Anyways, I can stand up here and talk for hours, but like I say, I thank you all for coming out, and I just promise to work hard for you if I'm elected. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Larry. The next speaker is Gary Myers, running for council.
Good evening. Thanks for everybody coming out. last 77 years I've done a lot of different things in my life, but since moving to Manitou Beach is where my wife and I purchased some property, developed a cottage, and we really fell in love with the place. So we want to just keep it that way, and I, as a counselor, I would like to make sure that Manitou Beach stays at the resort it is. I'm presently retired, living in Saskatoon. And this year, and I'm pleased to have my name on this year's ballot for the 2024 councillor vote. My family resides in Saskatoon, and we are seasonal residents at the beach. Most of my working career has been in Saskatoon. I now retired after spending approximately 30 years at Polytech as an instructor in the agricultural machinery program, and 12 years as a customer tech support person of Red Hat Equipment. I now spend my days looking after our home in Saskatoon and developing our college on Richard Street. Honorary life member of the Knights of Columbus. I have served in all the council executive chairs that goes along with the many volunteer hours. I have served on a church council in 3 different terms over the years and chaired 7 annual celebrity dinner fundraisers for the Jim Pattison Children's Hospital. At the beach, my wife and I helped organize a fundraiser for a cancer patient, and I helped with a fundraiser for money needed for the drive-in theater improvements. Recently, I had the honor of being a recipient of the Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Medal for community contributions. My intention as a counselor is to provide a transparent link between the ratepayer and the village administration. We are currently facing some lift station challenges, and I would like to help find a way to stick out through this and help through this bit of a dilemma. The Airbnb of Manitou is an awesome place to live, be part of a vibrant tourist attraction. So on election day, please look for my name on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Okay, at this stage, I'd like to thank all the candidates for their speeches. At this stage, we're going to open, let's have a round of applause. Okay, well, at this stage, we're going to open up for questions. So we're going to limit you to 1 question because there's probably a lot of people here. And you can direct it to any or all of the candidates as we go forward. But please keep it a question, not some big statement disguised as a question. Okay? So would anyone like to begin? Just come up to the mic here and speak into the mic so that it's important to hear the question as well. There's a lady coming up, yeah. And just introduce yourself.
There, the on button.
Yeah.
It works. Hi, thank you to everyone. My name is Dr. Kathleen Thompson. I own 2 cabins here on Douglas Street. And thank you to everyone for running. I think that really matters for democracy. I appreciate the hard work of council and all of the enthusiasm. My question is, I'm an advocate for people who have disabilities, and sometimes it's quite difficult walking and navigating parts of the community, some of the parks, for people who may be visually impaired or in wheelchairs. So I'm wondering what strategies people might have for inclusiveness for people who have disabilities. I'd like to hear from anyone that has comments on the topic. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, would you want to go?
Hi, sorry. So I actually work for Horizon School Division, and we do see a lot of this at schools too. Accessibility is huge on parks, and there are a lot of grants out there that you can apply for. So I think that would be probably my first route that I'd be looking at. And I think as a community, there are a lot of grants that community members can actually apply for as well on behalf of the village once they talk to the town office. So I think it's on all of us to try to make our community a better place, and maybe we can all look into that.
Sandra, short.
It runs in the family.
Okay,
You want it higher?
thank you.
Let's speak close.
Yeah. Within the village, we have 3 committees of council that do a lot of different activities for our community, and they are the principal givers to the extras, like mobility and like things that Camp Easter Seal would use, or different areas that we would be working with. Right now, I can tell you that between the rec board and the chainsaw committee, they are purchasing a Moby mat that will give access to the main beach. It's 150 feet of 5-foot strip that will give us access off of the main beach for wheelchairs, walkers, and that type of thing. I think we can all thank our committees of council for the hard work that they do to allow us to do those things. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I actually was talking to somebody else a couple of weeks ago about accessibility. One of the things that I have been involved with when I was living in Saskatoon was getting together an advisory board, and that advisory board actually went out into a community to look at where the barriers were, then made a plan, and then came back, and then we went for funding, because as Sandra said, there are many avenues for funding. So that is one of the things that I would really like to see a new council doing, is setting up advisory boards not only for this subject, but other ones as well. So thank you.
Thank you for that question, Dr. Thompson. I want to point out that there's a little walkway at Newman Park right now that's extremely dangerous to be walking on. As a liability adjuster, I can't believe there's no railings. They just took them off. So be extremely careful when you're walking on that little bridge. These are some of the things that need to be addressed, like that.
I can tell you that the council of the time uses Camp Easter Seal as our advisor because they have the expertise when it comes to ability and accessibility. So anytime with the Moby mats and the different things that we've been looking to, Camp Easter Seal is who we use.
Okay, any other questions from the audience? Oh, a fellow has a hand up over here. So. Just come up to the mic, sir. And,
We have the opportunity to answer.
sure. We'll one for one.
I've got several questions, and I'm not picking on you, Cheryl, because you're running for mayor. So,
Bring it on.
my first question is that one of the things you're campaigning on is repealing the bylaw to do with criminal record check. In the event that you are successful in repealing that bylaw, what do you plan to do to mitigate the risk to the taxpayers?
What is the risk? What's the risk? You tell me what the risk is, and I'll tell you.
No,
There is no risk. Having a criminal...
regardless of the risk,
Yep.
I want to know what your plan is to mitigate that risk to the taxpayers.
To mitigate the risk of what? There isn't any. There's no risk. Background criminal checks do not take the liability off of the council, the resort, and so background criminal checks do nothing. There is not a resort
I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
That they don't eliminate
Right.
criminal liability.
Right,
But having said that,
yeah.
the taxpayers here are exposed.
To what? What are they exposed
They're
to?
exposed to a lawsuit.
For what? For sexual abuse?
For the same, yeah.
For, okay, so I think I know what he's getting at.
Embezzling money or whatever.
Okay,
Can we let her address the question? You can have a chair.
the criminal record check does not take the liability off of the resort village of Manitou Beach. That's from the police, that's from the insurance company. We do not have anybody in our community taking a child anywhere by themselves without a parent. They stopped the Halloween party because nobody wanted to get these criminal record checks done. If these record checks are not being done, we're gonna have more volunteers. Doesn't mean that we're gonna have volunteers taking children, one child at a time, somewhere. That doesn't happen here. We flip pancakes, we have a Halloween party, we have dances. We have nowhere where we are alone with any type of a child, anywhere. I've done all the claims for the Canadian National Hockey League, and 2 of them have been sexual assaults. None of them had any kind of criminal background check. Had they even had them done, they wouldn't have caught anything because these guys never did anything before. The only message to me that this sends out is we don't trust our own citizens. We do not have anyone else's child with us at any point, and that's why I would like to see the bylaw repealed.
I disagree with you.
Okay.
And I disagree.
Sure.
Just to Mr. Moderator, I've got several questions here.
Oh.
And
Let the next person go and get back.
Okay, fair enough.
It's not a question, it's just respectfully, I invite you to look at the map of released child predators in our communities and where they go in small town places.
Is there a question? It's got to be a question.
I'm just wondering if you acknowledge the fact that people are in every community and you cannot say that. I just want to know, are you protecting children by saying, oh, we're not going to take, make people have record checks?
What do you think a criminal record check will do if you go get one? What will that do for us? Tell us that you're not a criminal?
Could we not be argumentative, just answer the
I know.
question?
I don't know what the question is. Sorry, I don't agree with the bylaw for the criminal record check. I don't think that there's anyone here we need to have that done. There isn't a community within 100-mile radius that gets them. The other resorts don't get them, but we do. And I don't know why we do. And it's a new bylaw as far as I know. Oh, is this for me too?
My next question, and you brought it up, I think one of the things you're campaigning on here too is open for business. And you mentioned the Oasis in your little preamble before. What I'd like to know is, I consulted a very good friend of mine on this. His name is Mr. Doodle, and he tells me that the infrastructure to support a community of that size is in the neighborhood of $2 million. Now we're talking about sewer and water treatment plant, street lights,
Really?
streets.
We need a question, not
My
a
question
statement.
is, where do you propose to get the money to pay for that?
Would have been great if we would have got it from the Oasis, but we didn't. So I don't know where we're going to get it from now. Good question. Next.
Next question, please. You can get back and hold it.
Oh my God, seriously?
Good evening. I'd like to know who amongst you, I thought had mentioned Danson. I'd like you to elaborate on your thoughts. I don't want to own another drive-in. I don't want us to buy Danson. And I want to know what you think about it. Everyone.
Thank you. I think that's a really good question, and I think it's top of mind for a lot of us that live here in the village. So there are a number of grants available if Danson becomes a historic building. So there are ways that we can upkeep it And a council really should be supporting business endeavor and things that are community-minded. So if council does not want to buy it the way that they bought the drive-in, which I understand where you're coming from, how can council support to make sure that we are able to keep a building like this unique, terrific place that we have? So those are things that we need to look into. But there are infrastructure grants, there are historic grants available. Those are the first things I think that we should be doing. Thanks.
I'm personally not in favor of our village purchasing private enterprises. I do believe that dance land has survived, I believe, for almost 100 years now. It will continue to. There's already a group involved privately that is operating the facility, doing a great job of it, but I'm not in favor of the taxpayer purchasing it.
Yeah, this group that is purchasing the dance hall, we need to support them, and it might need a facelift or some elbow grease, but if we help them out, I think it'll continue to be the best spot in town.
I agree.
I just want to say I agree with the last two.
Gentlemen, speak close to the mic too, okay?
It's my understanding right now that the village currently has roughly $800,000-900,000 in debt, plus another maybe $200,000-300,000 outstanding in property taxes and unpaid utilities. So what's your plan to pay down that debt and to recover the outstanding money?
Who are you directing it to?
Well, just Cheryl, I think, is the only one he asks anything of.
I don't know, but I can tell you that I have been in contact with SUMA regarding the wrongful dismissal of $80,000, and we're going to try to, is that funny for you, CAO? Highly unprofessional. And SUMA, that's one of the places we're hoping to get our money back. They're going to take a look, if we get in, they'll take a look at the liability, the date of loss. We only had 2 years to put it in through our liabilities, so. And I don't know a lot about it because we haven't been told a lot of information, but that would be one place that I would start with. Does that answer your question? Do you have any better ideas, maybe?
You're the one running for mayor, so.
You're the one with the questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you want to direct it to anybody else? Okay.
If I may, speaking of an HR issue is inappropriate for a councillor, so we really can't bring it up. We can't let, the existing councillors are privy to that information, but nobody else is able to get that information. The amount of money is here nor there. We have to do what we have to do to work forward. Oh, I will tell you that the day that the village bought the drive-in was the day that we quit collecting taxes and were not able to have that kind of money. So the day the drive-in was purchased was the day we started spending extra.
I am interested in the plan for the drive-in. If you have one, you're saying financially viable. I'm very interested. The reality is that that drive-in has, I don't know why it was bought, don't know what, but it hasn't returned anything to the citizens. Not a nickel. Like, we have no taxes, we have costs, but where is it that we've got money back to offset the taxes that we, and the initial purchase? Like, I get it, it's for tourism, but my problem is how does it return $300,000 from the purchase? And all the costs since. That's what I'd like to hear as planned. So,
Okay. That is a really good question. So I appreciate that being brought forward. The drive-in was bought as a public asset. It is a public asset no different than a swimming pool or an arena. It was bought because of what it gives back to the community, to the residents, and to the visitors. Now, saying that, there are ways, that drive-in was a private enterprise. It was making money. So we can look at things that would bring money back in again. Do we want to hold more events there? A music festival that would return money into the drive-in. What other things can the drive-in land be used for, as well as giving back that unique opportunity to be at a drive-in that is so nostalgic? Thanks.
Good evening, my name is Pat. I'm relatively new to the community. I've only been here 30 years. But from the day I moved in here, I was a volunteer. And there have been supposedly some barriers to volunteerism. I know Scott's been a volunteer. I know that Rebecca, Larry, Poppy have all been volunteers in this community. And I think volunteers are key to making a community work. I don't know some of you, and I'm just wondering if, win or lose, we're going to be able to see you volunteering at some of the events and projects that happen here at the beach. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandra Hestorfer. I actually do volunteer. I volunteer at the Chainsaw Festival. Every time it's come around, I do volunteer at pancake breakfasts. So I definitely believe in volunteering and giving back to the community, and I think that's why we're running for council as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I was on the executive for the busking festival that just happened recently, and thanks for everybody that came out to support that. When I was teaching, I was actually teaching a course in volunteer management. There is many ways to increase volunteerism, because volunteerism has changed so much in rural areas across Canada. People aging, people interests changing and not having that commitment like there used to be to volunteerism, giving back to the community. But there are ways to change that. And that's one of the things that I continue to strive for, whether I'm elected to council or not. That is the lifeblood of any community. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sarah McKenna. Hi, neighbors. So as you know, I own Little Manitou Art Gallery. I moved here 13 years ago. The reason I came to Manitou Beach was because of the tourism destination that it has been, I always like to say, since stories began. So I do understand the value of that tourism. At the same time, I have stepped over to some of my neighbors' places and enjoyed the peaceful, relaxing community that is so precious to all of us. So my question to anyone who wants to take it on is, how do we move forward in developing our tourism while still maintaining and enhancing our peaceful residences?
Through the current OCP, there is new rezoning that allows for the beach area, and that beach commercial area is designated to be part of the expanded business area. That way, the cabins up the hill and the areas that business are separated.
So one of the unique things about Saskatchewan is that we do not have a very high population, and 97% of the people who are tourists within the province live in the province. Yeah, which is great. We will never be overrun by tourists. That's one of the nice things about here. We're not Banff, we're not Jasper. We will never see those numbers. So tourism gives, for our 2.5 months, or if we can stretch it a little bit further, an influx of lively entertainment, more businesses being open that contributes to the lifeblood of the community. But we will never be overrun. It will never be extremely noisy here. And that's one of the reasons that we love being here, right? You can just walk up to your house away from the beach and you don't hear anything anyway. So we can still encourage visitors to come for many reasons. And we're not going to be seeing mass tourism. Thanks.
And I guess I'd respond a little bit to that. Really, our beach is busy from the long weekend of May till the first week of September. So essentially, as the saying goes, we make hay for about 4 months. It is a quiet and serene place, especially from the middle of September up until the middle of May again. So we're not inundated by tourism all year long. And I wasn't on council when the drive-in theater was purchased, but council at that time believed that saving the drive-in theater was valuable to the village. And it is, it's a lost leader, let's face it. It's not going to make us a ton of money, unless, of course, that 10-acre parcel of land is something that a big commercial venture is going to be interested in purchasing, which would bring an immense amount of taxes. But the reality is, we have chosen to have that drive-in theater just as Watrous has an arena and a swimming pool. These things don't make money. Communities choose to spend some of their tax dollars on having recreation for their residents and for their tourists. I was never really big in favor of that purchase. However, I believe it's paid for now. So we can move forward knowing that we don't have any debt with it any longer. We did have a wonderful operator of the place who, for whatever reason that our council did not get along with, is no longer running it. It isn't going to make us a ton of money. We're just going to have to accept that. That's the way a drive-in will be.
In answer to Sarah's question about how we could make this a community that's still quiet and viable with tourism, my wife Carol, she comes up here, she loves to be here during the week. And I said, why? And she goes, well, it's so quiet. I said, well, I like to be here on the weekend because I hear the neighbors and their 4 children down there talking and playing, and I hear the kids at the beach running around, I hear the people talking, I meet a lot of people walking up to the campground because we live on Watrous Street. And those people say how unique our village is. Well, I work at the tunnels of Moose Jaw, and I talk for 45 minutes an hour every day for 7 times a day. For me to stand up here and talk to you is very comfortable. And when people ask me where to go in Saskatchewan, my first place is here. I always say, come to Manitou Beach. You all are so lucky to be living here. I wish my circumstances were better, that I could live here full time, but unfortunately there's circumstances that I cannot. And saying that, whenever, like I say, anybody asks me where to go in Saskatchewan, I say here. And they want, why? And I go, well, you have Danceland, and I explain what Danceland is all about. Talking again to the drive-in, I have no idea why the drive-in was purchased. Unfortunately, there was a mishap with the projector. That's been corrected. The drive-in's open. I hope it becomes a viable business and attracts people. and maybe bringing in other things and other venues that will encourage that business to stay viable would be great. Looking at grants to fix dance land, looking to fix up things like this, well, that's great. But who's the piggy bank? You, me, and everybody else who lives here. I would like to see grants, I would like to see all that. I'd like to work hard to find that money. So when I think about all these things that people say that they want to see, that's great. I want to see a lot of things too. I don't know what I'm getting into. I don't know where the budget's going to end up. We have lift stations that need to be maintained and repaired and replaced to keep up with the people that are moving into the village. We have projects that were proposed and they failed, and that's on, they're moved on. Well, we can rehash those if they come up again, but they have to be viable. You can't keep saying, well, we're going to sell the village. So please remember that. You're the taxpayer, and I want to protect that. Thank you.
It's my understanding that in a prior administration here at the beach, the village received, I think it was in the neighborhood of $60,000 from the provincial government in the form of a grant. And I believe, and I'm not 100% sure, I think it was something to do with the borrow. But in any event, the province wanted some proof from the current council that that money was spent on what it was given for. And there was no record of that money being spent on anything. My feeling is the money just got chucked into general revenue.
Could you form a
and
question?
spent.
Put it in a question.
My question is, what do you propose, or how do you propose that this won't happen again, or what's your plan for this not happening again?
Not doing it? Honestly, if I recall, I think it was before my time as well, that money was a grant, and it was given for, I think it was for things at the beach, but what happened was the flood happened a second time. And it was to deal with, if I'm not mistaken, the, what was it? Not the gondola, but the gazebo, thank you. The gazebo and other things, it was money to move these things, and yet we couldn't do it because now another flood had come. And so this money was in the general coffer, if I recall correctly, and it couldn't be used in the manner that it was supposed to because of the floods that we had. So it was really an act of God that no one had any control over, actually. So how will this not happen again? Well, you hope we don't have an act of God. If in fact the village gets grant money, they will use it for that grant. Unless, of course, something like that happens again, a flood that we have no control over.
I can tell you that yes, the village had to repay that amount of money. There was things we could have used if we had known, if the new council and the current council had known that this money had been put into general coffers and been used for regular expenses, we could have done something about it. It could have been used for trees, it could have been used for infrastructure on the top of the hill, it could have been used a lot of places. But it was mismanagement on the past administration that caused us that problem, and we had to pay back that $69,000. Fortunately, the lender allowed us 2 years to do so, so it didn't mess our budget that much.
My name's Eric Umshaw. I have a comment and a question. My name's Eric Umshaw. I have a comment and a question. Popping through the spirit, maybe I call it because I was the guy or the mayor when the drive-in was purchased. And the reason it was purchased was because Mr. Crawford was going to close it down, number one. But number two, the drive-in itself is 2.2 acres. The drive-in property is 11.3 acres. That property, we had an engineer come in and we had a plan to have 25 trailer pads, park models, and new trailers. That was the vision, to look into the future, knowing that we were going to lose an amenity. My question, what do you plan, two-part question, A, what do you plan on doing specifically with that area, that 8 or 9 acres behind the drive-in? Are you planning to make it a revenue property for the beach? And number 2, will that strategy continue, and how will you continue that strategy for other things where it's not about private and public, it's about investing for the beach?
Well, I'm certainly open for any ideas or any business ventures. That door was never closed. It wasn't closed before I was on council 8 years ago. We continued to invite opportunities, and I would continue to do so now. If there is business, if there's ideas or people with finances that would like to do something with that 8, 9, 10, 11 acres of property, wonderful. Bring it to council. Would love to hear about it. And hope that something viable that the community likes will take place. I hope so.
I'm surprising myself. I have to agree with you, Mr. Gunther. The door has never been closed. We've always been open for business, and that property has been divided, and it is I think it's a 5-acre parcel, is it not, to the east, and a 3-acre parcel to the west. So the drive-in is sitting in the middle of it. Yeah, we're always open to business, and with the BHP connection, and the new housing incentives, there is great possibilities there.
Mr. Moderator, my name is Miles Stoll. Could I ask you a question?
No. It's not about me tonight, it's about these candidates here. And these people here needing to know.
I was going to talk about these people here, but I want to ask you a question.
I may or may not answer, sir.
That's fair enough. Would it be possible, we have Michael Birdie here with us, who is the leader of Oasis and many of you. Could you ask him to come up and talk about such things?
No, tonight was billed as meet the candidates. If he wants to have a venue, then he has to organize it himself.
Yes, okay.
Are there any more questions of the candidates? Wait, we're going here. Just tell us your name and correct.
Hi, my name is Constance Bracewell. I was probably conceived here by a man who was born and bred in Watrous. My mom was a summer person from Saskatoon. Meditation is part of my whole life, and I'm also really involved in governance in my work life. And so I work with boards a lot and with advisory councils, people who come together because they care about something and they disagree, but they have to find a way to do it. They write grants. Some of them are restricted. They do the record keeping. It's not something that comes easily. It comes as natural to some people, but experience is really helpful. And we're looking at a council right now. I'm so happy to see so many people running. It really is fantastic this last election. There were only people elected. My question for you, just based on that preamble, is if anyone wants to speak to what is your experience and vision that you bring to a position of governance? Vision for Manitou Beach and an ability to follow through with it, working with others, right? And doing these grants. You can toss that word around all you want. They're hard to write. Who here has experience with that?
I do. Yeah, so I've had a couple jobs where pretty much all I do, or a good majority of my job, is writing grants. So I actually worked for 4-H Saskatchewan, where my job was writing grants full-time and actually working with partners and bringing in money that way. Now I work for Horizon School Division. I write almost all of our grants that we apply for. So I do have the abilities to do that, or to help guide do that. I guess my vision to working together, as you can see, I came here as an independent. I believe that I'm here to represent you all, and will do that at my best ability, and possibly I do not want to be swayed one way or another. There are going to be things that I agree with on every side of the table, and I am willing to make that stand to make sure it's the best for our community by listening to our community. So my experience is that I also am the chair of Saskatchewan Women in Agriculture right now, so I am very used to running meetings. I also run a huge conference with that group. So I'm used to that kind of stuff too, and let me tell you, a group of women on a board, we all know that we can get hot, and I have to chair those meetings, so I can keep it concise, and I believe that I can continue to do that at a level of council too.
Okay, so I have been involved with municipal government and nonprofit for over 40 years. Governance is what we are when we walk in the door. So that means that we need to bring in a facilitator to do a strategic plan, and that is a vision and a mission, goals and objectives. Without that, our staff does not have direction. Our staff cannot reach goals and metrics without proper governance. One of the things that we need to really do when we walk in is to do an overview and familiarize ourselves with what's been going on. And there is a fellow whose job it is to actually do strategic planning here at the beach, who has volunteered up to any council that's going to be elected, free facilitation to come in and do a strategic plan. I've said, and I will always say, revitalization, business development plans, to keep our beaches healthy as we possibly can, but governance is also about supporting our staff. Proper governance supports our staff, and that's one thing the council is here to do, as well as supporting the residents. Thanks.
I'm going to be honest, I have no idea how to get a grant. I don't know how to write a grant. I worked in a hospital for 38 years, and that's a level of bureaucracy where I had to negotiate just to get something simple done. I worked for many, many managers that had different goals and different visions when they came through the door. I banged my head against many of those doors to get just the basics that we needed. I know that the learning and experience that I had levels of bureaucracy might help me be able to write for a grant, but I can't promise you that. I would like to work with whomever's on council, if you elect me, to find out how to do that to make this community a better place. And if there is money available, let's get it. But let's not keep dipping into the pond that doesn't have any money. So, I don't know what else to say.
Are there no more questions? Well, with that, I think I'd like to, first of all, there's a question? Oh, okay, good.
Hi, my name is Dave. I'm recently a full-time resident here now. So I just had a question about the transparency of the council and how people's vision is going to proceed with that. I've offered my services, left my name and phone number at the office months ago, and no one's called me back. Maybe, I've done water treatment plants bigger than what we have here, free service, but no one's ever called me. I've asked to, can I get some gravel to fill the ruts from the rain? I left my name and number, no one's called me. Can I get the gravel free? No one's returned any calls. So I'm willing to do some volunteer work and stuff like that also, but I'm looking for the communication. And I think what can council do for me to help? I want to help the community, and so if anyone can answer that.
I thank you for your offer to volunteer. We're not prepared to take away the job from somebody who's paid to do that position, but thank you anyway. We have worked hard to get our existing staff, and we have them all up to snuff on all of their training, and they are doing a very good job. I thank you for offering. As far as gravel is concerned, I would say stop in at the office. They have had a very busy summer. We always have run at a very peak. At this time of year, we're running at peak capacity, and we only have so many people to do so many things. So I apologize for you not getting the gravel right now, but if you talk to the office, we'll do our best. I'm sorry, when you, again, what were you asking about transparency? Okay, every council meeting, and I'll tell you, we went to one council meeting a month because it's a cost-saving measure. So there's a substantial amount of money that goes into a council meeting. Transparency, anybody is welcome to sit at a council meeting at any time. There are certain things that we can't discuss with you, and you have to understand that. I don't know what you're looking for when you're looking for transparency. Our minutes are put on the website as soon as they are put together and as soon as they are addressed by the existing council. I don't know what I'm not sure what this bunch of people are talking about when they talk about transparency, because anything we can tell you, we're telling you.
Hi. So as for the gravel and stuff like that, I think if we have people that want to fill potholes, that tells me that maybe we have a bigger issue at hand, and that we should be having a discussion with a lot of our staff or with how we can work as a community together or fix it. The other thing with transparency, I definitely have read our newsletter. I do think it could be a little bit more informative, a bit different. So looking at that, maybe it's a bi-weekly one instead of a monthly one. This way we can talk about if something's going to be shut down or worked on. Emails definitely are great. Not everybody gets it. Sometimes a mail pamphlet might need to be sent out because not everybody in our community has email. So I'd be looking at different opportunities to communicate that way. I also, I think going to the town office and having a very welcoming environment, I think that should be a very big thing, and responding to emails and phone calls, that's huge. And if you're hearing it from more than one person, then maybe it's a training scenario or something like that, and we can work together is all we can do.
Okay, we've got 3 people left in the lineup, so I think we'll end it with the third person there, and because it's really hot in here and it's getting hotter. So with you, ma'am.
Thank you. Karen Scalise. I've been a permanent resident of the beach for 3 years and part-time resident for about 11 years or so. And my question kind of follows Dave's. I've talked to other people who said things similar to him, where, there are people out here that have expertise, who have interest in working on certain things, skills to make the beach a better place, and they really care about it. But it sometimes seems that committees are chosen and then they're announced that so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so is on this committee, and there doesn't even seem to be an opportunity for other people to come forward and be a part of that community and, help to use their skills to serve the beach. And I'd just like to know how new council, mayors will address that and try to be more inclusive of other residents out here that want to contribute. Because it seems a lot of times it's the same people on the committees, and it's great to have them, but I think there needs to be some more inclusivity.
Do you want to direct that at anyone or anyone?
Whoever, I'm wondering how people on council and mayors are planning to be more inclusive, to invite some of these people who do have skills, who do have experience out here, to use them to more advantage, and because it seems a lot of times it's the same people on all committees. That's my question.
Thank you for your question. Maybe the talk about opening and honesty, and we can have a newsletter a couple of months, and if there is a reason that we need to have an idea thrown forward, we put it into a newsletter or into the minutes and have a call for people to step forward and ask for members of a committee. You have a wealthy basis of people that have so many years of experience in this community, and yes, you can offer a lot, and that's an open door policy that maybe the new council should adopt, is bring on your ideas, but bring it on formally, or have a call out to citizens and say, well, we are forming a committee on beach structure or how to improve something. Do you have ideas that we can have come forward? And I know that this council has probably done it, but maybe it's not been advertised enough. I don't know.
I think as far as committees, I think the council's there to watch and not to direct, but let them go. Let them go find their own workers and that, and stay out of what business they have. Let them fix the beach up and go. Thank you.
So I will say that I'm not a permanent resident here, and I did find it tough actually getting onto committees too. I did reach out when they did, and they did do a call out this time, but I believe it was on social media. And I did reach out and say, hey, I would join, but can I make the meetings in the winter virtually and then volunteer? And I'm great at digital media, things like that, so I probably could be useful. I didn't get a response that way either, so I think making it a bit more accessible that way as well, that some of our seasonal people can be on that too, to lend a helping hand, because we do want to be part of the community as well.
Hi, Karen. Yes, the existing council, the present council, has put postings out on social media. We've put it in our newsletter. We've put it on our email. We've sent individual letters on our email page. We've posted it on billboards, and we've put it every place we can think of. If you know of some other things we can do other than putting posters out there on every power pole, which is the one thing we probably haven't done all the time. We've tried. And anytime you go and sit on any committees or any boards, you'll get the STP. And sometimes it's the same 10 people, sometimes it's the same 12 people. But that seems to be how it goes. If you've got an answer, by all means, that's the way a community thrives.
I just wanted to ask, before you finish tonight, if you could each stand up and clearly tell us your names. I'm fairly new here, and so I only recognize a couple of people, so that we know who we can vote for.
Okay, well, start with you there. Just stand up where you are.
Larry Roberts.
Go to the mic, it's hard to hear you.
Right. Okay. Sorry, my fault. That's all right. Bylaw Bob just enforced something on me. I have to stand in front of the mic. My name is Larry Roberts, and thank you again for coming out tonight.
I'm Poppy Peterson. I think we do know each other. You live down the road. Thank you.
Kerry Meyer, and thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. My name is Cheryl Hansen.
Vicki Clark for council. Thank you.
Doug Gunther.
Rebecca Warbeck.
Scott Murray, good to see everyone out here.
I'm going to say this slow. Sandra Hestorfer. If you remember Hasselhoff, it's the closest one to it.
And we have the final question, sirs.
My name is James Armstrong. I'm currently on council. There's been a lot of talk about the CRC here, criminal record check. And everybody's saying that that's the reason why we don't have as many volunteers. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, I would volunteer more if I knew that everybody had their criminal record check. It's not a new thing. It's not a new thing.
Question?
Question? I'm making an observation here, and then I'll follow with the question. This criminal record check is not the reason we're losing volunteers. We've got another thing that's going around. It's called a real mash of terms. It's called a non-profit organization. Non-profits actually pay some of the members. The organizations pay people. There are people that are self-touted event coordinators. They get paid when something is put on. But all the boots on the ground don't get paid. So where is that volunteer base going? That's what I'm asking, is where is the volunteer base going? It's going because there's certain people that get paid, whether it's whatever it is they're putting on, whether it's a buskers festival or whatever the case. Certain people get paid, or a powwow or whatever it is. The ones that have the non-profit organization can pay some of their people. So why is that?
What's the question?
Why is
The question is, what are you going to do if this is the way it's going to continue? You're not going to have a volunteer base. Please figure out how you can bring it back.
Okay. Well, anyone in particular? Does anyone on the panel want to respond?
So volunteer management is an issue, as I said, right across Canada. I am going to briefly speak to the criminal record check. The criminal record check is not used by any other municipalities. We did the research. That is a correct statement. Who does use criminal record check and vulnerable persons checks are events and organizations that it's deemed necessary. If somebody is handling money on their own, can sign checks, and have access to a bank account of an organization, they need to have a criminal record check. If somebody is alone with a vulnerable person, so that could be a child without an adult, it might be an older adult, they need a vulnerable persons check. Very true. If we have those situations, then it's necessary. But across the board, asking everybody to have a criminal record check to work a bingo might be a deterrent. How we bring volunteerism back is by incentivizing volunteers to contribute back to the community. By making people understand and feel how their involvement contributes back, and we give them that feel-good feeling. So incentives, free tickets to events, volunteer rallies. We need to bring that good feeling back to volunteering, meeting new people in the community. All those things come when you volunteer, and that's the kind of thing that we need to bring forward. Thanks.
I came to this community and I started volunteering. I was asked by various people to volunteer. I worked in a hospital, like I said, for 38 years. I never had a problem getting my criminal record check because that was part of my job. If this is the only issue that people have about not volunteering, well, I'm sorry, that seems to be a very mute point with me. I don't know why anybody would fear getting a criminal record check to volunteer anyways. If they've got nothing to hide, all of us council members have to have criminal record checks, or people that are even nominated to go into council have to have a criminal record check. Not a problem. But making it an issue in an election is kind of an unusual thing. I'm kind of lost with it. And giving free tickets to an event that you're volunteering in is kind of redundant because no, but another event, but that's just gratuitous to me. So I'm sorry, that just, I mean, to encourage volunteerism is to make this community better. And that's the reason people should step up. Not because they want to make a personal gain by being able to go to a concert or go to another show. They should show up and volunteer because they want to make this a better place. And if people want to volunteer, they will step up. And if they don't want to volunteer, they won't step up. I was a shrine clown for years, right? I went and I did twisting balloons for hours in front of people, not expecting a dime. But just to see a child or somebody have joy from doing whatever I did, if it was magic or whatever, that's what gave me joy. That's why I volunteer. If I go up and I flip pancakes or I help out at the pancake thing and anybody enjoys that breakfast, that's enjoyable to me. And that's what volunteerism is, pleasing other people. So remember that.
Okay, well that concludes tonight's events. Let's give them all a big hand for being our candidates, please. And thanks for putting up with me. Unless there's anything else I've missed, that concludes the evening. And be sure to come out and vote, for sure.
Thank you for your meeting.